Do you want to master Google Forms in just minutes? In this video, I'm going to show you how to create, customize, and share your Google Forms with others. As a quick refresher, if you don't know how to get started with a new form, log into Google Drive, select the New button, and come down here and select Google Forms. And that's going to give us a fresh form to get started with. Now, the first thing that we're going to want to do is give this form a title. And whether it is a survey, whether it is a questionnaire, you can give that form a title right here. And down below, you can also give it an additional description. Now, adding a description is not required, but it can be very helpful if you want to add some helpful text or helpful instruction for those who will be viewing your form. Now, before we continue with adding a question, we want to take a quick look up here where it says Untitled Form. This is different than what responders will see. If I come up here and click on it, it will actually automatically grab the first thing that it sees here, Customer Survey. But remember, this is what it's going to look like for you. This is the file name and what will be visible within Google Drive. So perhaps I'm going to call this one version 1. That's so myself and perhaps my team can see this in our folder, but that is not going to change anything here. So just making sure you know the distinction between these two areas. But let's get to the core of any form, and that is adding our questions. There will already be one waiting for us here, this untitled question. Clicking anywhere within the question will give us some more options, including the ability to edit. So let's get started. Maybe I want to start by asking them what their name is. So I'm going to type in first name. Now, Google will try to be smart and identify the type of question that you are asking. You may have noticed that it just switched this from a multiple choice question to a short answer. It's assuming that I just want a short piece of text. In this case, they are correct. I'm only asking for a first name. But over here in this dropdown, I don't have to stick with this. I can change this to a paragraph answer. I can change this to any one of the options here down below. But for this first question, let's keep it with just the short text answer. Some of the other options that will be available to us on every type of question are at the bottom. First of all, we have the option to duplicate a question. And because I'm going to ask for both a first and a last name, this can be very handy. I'm going to hit this button, and now I've got the exact same short answer question down below. All I need to do is change the name, because I'm asking for the last name this time around, and I can continue to create my form. Next to the copy icon is the trash can, which of course will delete this question. And then to the right of that, we have a required slider. This will force the user to answer this question before they can submit the form. And because I want their name, I'm going to come back up here and select first name. I'm going to make this required, and then I'm going to come back down below and I'm going to make last name required as well. And both you and your responders will see this little red asterisk beside questions that are required. But of course, at this point, I don't want to just continue to duplicate short answer questions. Let's see how we can add other question types. Coming over here to this floating menu bar, you will notice the plus button. This is our ability to add a new question. It's going to immediately add a new question wherever we were last selected. So in this case, perhaps I do want to ask a multiple choice question. This time, I'm going to ask, what is your favorite type of ice cream? Multiple choice was already selected, so I'm all ready to come down here and provide the different options. By clicking on option 1, I can choose what I want to enter. I can either hit enter on my keyboard to give me the option down below, or I can take my cursor and select add option, which will do the exact same thing. And of course, if I want to change the order, I can come over here to the left-hand side. Maybe I want to move strawberry to the top. I can simply drag and drop my options any way that I like. Some questions will also allow you to add an image. So if I want a picture of the different flavors, I can do that here. And if I want to remove any of the options, I simply need to select the X. You will also notice when it comes to multiple choice questions, you have the option to add an other option. By selecting this option, users will have the ability to type in their own answer. So for example, if my favorite type of ice cream is Tiger, I can put that in down below here. Now in this video, we're not going to go through every single type of question type. The first 5 on this list are fairly straightforward. Here in the middle section, we have a variety of different scales and grids in which we can choose from, and we can also allow respondents to choose a specific date and time. But one that I do want you to be familiar with is file upload. If you would like users to submit either a document or an image or some other type of file. In this case, I'm going to select File Upload. It's going to give me a warning letting me know that any files will be uploaded to my Google Drive. And yes, it will count against my storage as well. But don't worry, we have a few options to limit that as well. So in this case, perhaps I want people to upload a signed form. So within the text field, I'm going to say, please upload your signed agreement. And then down below, we have a few additional options available to us as well. We can choose if we want to allow only specific file types. So in this case, since I'm going to be expecting to receive a PDF or an image, I'm going to choose those 2 options here. I definitely don't want a video or a piece of audio, so I'm only going to select these options. You don't have to restrict a file type, but this can be a useful feature. And then down below, we can also restrict the number of files in which they can upload. Maybe there's a use case where you want them to upload multiple documents. You can do so, but you can limit it to 1, 5, or 10. I'm going to keep mine at 1. And then lastly, we can choose what is the maximum file size. Well, since this is only going to be 1 page or 1 image, I'm comfortable allowing this at 10 megabytes. But if you're allowing others to upload video, you may want to expand this to an entire gigabyte. Now, returning back to our floating dialog, there are a few other options I want you to be aware of. One is the ability to add an image or a video. Now, these are not question types. You can think of them as a type of separator. We can also add a title and description anywhere in the middle of our survey. So, for example, if I want them to watch a video before they answer the next couple of questions, I can select this option. I can go and search for a particular video on YouTube, select insert, and then now I can give it a title if I like. And they can watch this video directly within the survey. Remember, there is no question directly attached to this. This can simply be used as a reference point or if it relates to other questions. But perhaps one of the most important options here in the floating menu is the ability to add sections. If you have a long list of questions, rather than having someone scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page, you can break it up into sections. So for example, maybe I want to ask them their name first, but then I'd like to create a section before they get to their favorite ice cream. I'm going to come over here and select Add a section. And here you can see we have a new type of header. It's showing that the beginning of our survey is section 1 of 2, and down below is section 2 of 2. Here I can give it a separate title if I like, and then I can add additional questions. And of course, you can add as many sections as you desire. If you choose not to use sections, simply come over to the right, select More, and then we can select Delete Section. So now that you're familiar with how to add a variety of questions to your form, let's see if we can customize the design of this form. We're going to come up here to the top and click on this Customize Theme icon. And on the right-hand side, it's going to give us some additional options. Number 1, we can change both the text style and the text size for the header, question, and text. So for example, maybe I like this impact more here for the title of the survey. And even the questions themselves, I'd like them to stand out a bit more as well. I'm going to use this Lexend, and I'm going to say semi-bold. I like how that stands out on the screen. And maybe just for the answer text, I'm going to bump it up to 12. So a lot of this is nice and customizable. Below that, we have the option to choose a visual header. By selecting Choose an Image, we can choose from one of the defaults here, or we can upload from our computer. For this example, I'm just going to choose this nice purple one because it goes with the purple background. It gives something just a little more visual. This could be a great opportunity to add your logo or other branding. And then lastly, we have a choice of changing some of the colors. Now, by default, any new Google form is going to use this purple color, but you can not only change the shade of that purple, you can go ahead and select your own custom color. By selecting this plus button, for example, my shade tends to be more of a blue, this darker blue. I'm going to choose that option here. And I'm going to say add. That is not only going to add this color, you can see that it will highlight at the top of the form and on the side of the active question, but I can also change the background to a shade of this color. So maybe I want it to be an all light background. Maybe I want it to be a darker background. I can change that here as well. For this example, I'm going to go back to one of these purple shades because it fits better with my header. When you're done with the theme, you can come up here and select X. Now, just before we go ahead and publish and share our form with others, there are two other things we want to check. Number one, it is really important for you to preview your form and actually test it out. To do so, come up to the top menu and select this eyeball icon. By selecting this, it will open up a new browser tab. It will give you a warning that this form isn't accepting responses because we have not published it yet. And here, you can actually take your form for a test drive. So I can come in here, I can start to put in my first name. I am going to purposely skip entering in my last name. I'm going to come down here and, it's going to go all red saying this is a required question. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want it to do. So I'm going to come back here, enter in my last name, and then I'm going to select my favorite type of ice cream. When you are in preview mode, you will not be able to select the submit button, so that's okay. But you may want to come back here time and time again as you're adding more questions, as you're changing things, just to make sure before you publish your form. To get back to editing mode, you can simply come up here to the top and select this arrow. Next, we want to take a quick look at the form settings because there may be a few different things that you want to change. By selecting this option, we have the ability to actually convert this into a quiz. This is great for teachers or instructors. It gives us a number of additional answers. And then there are a few different areas that you may want to review. Under responses, you can choose if you want to collect email addresses or not. Do you want to allow to send responders a copy of their response? Of course, you need to collect email addresses in order to do that. Do you want to allow them to edit their responses after it's been submitted? And do you want to limit their responses to just one? These are all decisions that will vary from form to form. Below responses, there is a presentation section. And while we won't go into every single setting in detail, the one that I recommend you changing is the confirmation message. By default, it will say your response has been recorded. But by selecting the edit link on the right-hand side, you can add your own confirmation message, which may come across as a lot more personal and more in line with your brand. Lastly, at the very bottom of the form, we have some defaults that will not only apply to this form, but it will apply to other forms that you create in the future. So for example, maybe you always want to or always do not want to collect email addresses. You can choose that here, and you can also choose if you want questions to be required by default. No matter what you choose here, you can always change each individual question, but these can be helpful settings to make creating new forms that much easier and quicker. So now that we're happy with our form, it's time to publish. Here in the top right-hand corner, we have this Publish button. By selecting this, it is going to allow us to choose if we want to share this with anyone with the link, or if we want to share it with just specific people. Now, in most cases, you're going to want to leave this as anyone with the link, because if you're using this as a survey, if you're sending this out via social media, you want as many people to participate and answer as possible. But if you do want to restrict it to a much smaller subset, such as an internal team, you can come in here and add the individual email addresses. In my case, I want to leave it as anyone with the link, and I'm going to select this Publish button. Now that's great, but how do I actually share it with others? Well, don't come up here and share this URL. No, we want to select this Publish button once again, and then select Copy Responder Link. By copying this link, here we will get the link that we want to share with others. And if you want to make it a shorter URL, you can select this box, select Copy, and now we can go to any of our browser tabs. I'm going to paste it in, and this is what I would see if I was to receive this form. Also note, if you would like to stop receiving responses, click this Publish button once again, and then deselect the Accepting Responses slider here. Last but not least, let's take a look at how you can review your responses. Here near the top of the screen, just to the right of questions, we have responses. And we can see that we have received a total of 3. By selecting this, we can get a few different views of our survey data. So here we can see the first names and the last names of these individuals, and we can see that they're exactly split between what their favorite ice cream is. This is a summary view. In the middle, we can go by question. So here are the first names, here are the last names, and this might be the most valuable when it comes to the individual names. But we also have one last individual view. So if I want to dive down and see what did Ted answer, I can see that here. I can go through them one by one. Charlie likes strawberry best. So a variety of different ways for you to view that data. And as a bonus, if you'd like to see your data in a Google Sheet, you can come up here to the right and link this data to a brand new Google Sheets. So now that you know how to use Google Forms, what will you create next? And do you have any further questions? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, being productive does not need to be difficult. In fact, it's very simple.